And just like that, Stanford was gone. That's sort of the big news for this episode is they've addressed the death of the actor Willie. It's very strange. Stanford just decides to go to Tokyo to manage a TikTok star who's going on tour, and he left Carrie a message basically just saying, by the time you read this, I'll be in Tokyo, but he left his husband with a message saying he wanted a divorce, and he has no idea why, and they left it at that. They didn't go any further with it. Now, why they didn't just have Stanford just going on with his normal life in New York and just not have him in any future episodes, which is not impossible to do. They could mention him and just not show him. They didn't have to write him out. And in such a strange way, like he just suddenly goes to Tokyo with no explanation and leaves Anthony when he thought everything was fine. It's really strange. Now, the rest of the episode is, okay, it's only 36 minutes long. I think it's shorter than all the other episodes. Carrie wakes up in her old house, which I still think of as her house, her apartment. She tries to make coffee. She goes to a local 7-Eleven or the convenience store. The guy remembers her, and then when he hears that Big died, he gives her like her coffee for free and a muffin or something. She goes back home and she's like, she gets dressed, she goes out, she goes back to the other home, and she's like, I nothing is right here, nothing fits, I'm going to sell it. So she decides to sell it. She gets rid of the Peloton, which gets mentioned a few times in this episode. And she basically puts Big's ashes in a Barney's bag, and just takes it back to her apartment and puts him up on the shelf until she can work out where he belongs, which is what she says to him. So she goes to sell the other apartment. The realtor, who is now a new friend of hers, who she's enjoying her company because she doesn't know Big. She doesn't have a history of him. She's like a new friend. They have a new relationship. So Miranda is like, should I be threatened? She's like, no. She says, look, we have to get rid of all your personal items and beige out the apartment because it's too much personality in here and we won't sell it. So she says don't touch the shoes, but, of course. She has the viewing and everything, and the realtor actually breaks a photo of her and Big, and she gets pretty upset because the glass is important because he used to touch the glass all the time. And the lady she's kind of like the new Samantha. People are calling her the new Samantha. She's single. She's, I think, in her 50s or 40s. I don't know what age. I don't think they say. And, she sort of at some point says, look, when we were talking, because there's a scene where they're having, after the house inspections and that, and they deal with some fairly hideous guys, she's like, that like the dating world is full, and they talk about dating, and she says, good for you putting yourself out there. And she's kind of offended by that because it just, she's like, look, you're lucky. I maybe I don't feel bad about breaking this thing. I don't feel bad for you because you found a great love of your life. You had years together, you were happy, so the writer, the producer wanted to sort of explore, whether it was better to have loved and lost or never have loved at all. And they seem to answer it in that sort of exchange there. So they become real friends after they sort of share. They're honest. They have some Chinese or something, and and just like that, our real friendship began. Was how sort of the episode ends. Now Miranda has dinner with her professor. They get along. They talk about IVF because she's going for IVF because she wants a kid. She's not sure if she really wants the child, and Miranda tries to explain to her that there are always roads not taken. If you don't have a kid, yes, you'll regret it, but you'll enjoy your life. If you have a kid, you'll love that, but you'll miss your life. There's times she wishes she gives the example of another law student who became to be a judge, on the Supreme Court, and she goes home alone to an empty house, but she wishes some nights she had that. So the lady's like, so you can't have it all? She's like, well, you can, it's just really effing hard. And I'm like, that's not quite what I was getting from what you're saying. It seemed to be saying that there's always going to be something you miss. If you have a family, you'll miss being, your single life. If you have a single life, you're going to miss not having a family. So it was a nice way to look at it. And that's sort of her story for the episode. Now, Charlotte's is a little bit more complicated. Charlotte is really wanting to befriend, because she's friends with this power couple at school. I've forgotten their names, damn it. And she wants to invite them to dinner. Now, she realises they're going to be the only black people at the dinner because she doesn't have any black friends, really. So she runs around trying to get black people to come to her party. She asks her neighbour that she barely talks to, who says no, and she tries to talk her into it, and it just goes really bad, and she ends up just being like, okay, I need to go away now, and closing the door pretty much. She invites someone from school who she hates, and then she has to uninvite her because the couple she was throwing the party for cancel. And she has to pretend to drop a ball, which of course she never does because she's Charlotte. And they have the dinner, and they go to another dinner that she invited them to, and they're the only white couple at the party. Of course, Charlotte has a horrific moment where she walks up to one lady and she's like, oh my God, it's so-and-so's mother. And she's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you since whatever event. And she's like, no, I'm not her, but I know who you're talking about. And she's like, I mistook one black person for another black person. It's like one of the worst things a white person can do. Well, not the worst thing, but it's a bad thing. So Charlotte's mortified, but she survives. Harry blurts out the name of a black writer to try and sort of help the moment. But they do end up going through the dinner. They do okay. There's a moment where the host, mother-in-law, is grilling her over how much she spends on art. And Charlotte explains, look, I was in art and she's made some great investments, better than property, basically. These are worth a lot of money. She knows every piece in the house. And of course, the host is very grateful because, she had her back. And she does talk to her later and say, look, I was afraid, I even invited this person I hate because I didn't want you to be the only black person at my party. And she's like, well, I didn't want you to be, I was worried about you being the only white person at our party. And she's like, well, how do we do? And she's like, well, your husband sweated through his suit. And she's like, yes. But it was kind of weird and awkward. And I don't know, I sort of felt for Charlotte a little bit because she's such a perfectionist, and now there's like all these new rules, and the way race is being looked at and spoken about, and everything is different post-pandemic, post-George Floyd, and you can't get away with being vanilla anymore, and you can't get away with being who Charlotte was before. But I think she genuinely likes these people and wants to have a more diverse group of friends. And she was saying to Harry, you have to, bring in your A game because we need a more diverse group. I know there are a lot of people are going to be criticising that and saying it's woke and everything, but I think it's just reality. It's just life. I mean, unless you live in a bubble and unless you are a racist who just doesn't want to associate with anyone other than white people, you're going to be, surrounded by diverse people, and you're going to have to deal with it. You have to and if you like these people, you have to work out your differences so that you can be friends with them and you don't say or do stupid things. That's just part of working it out, because it's not as easy as, vanilla friends, white friends, because everything about them, you've lived their experience. So yeah, she had to try a little bit harder to get it right. So it was kind of funny to see, but kind of cringe, and you're kind of scared for her the whole time. And when she got that lady confused with the other lady, I was just, no. But yeah, it was a good episode. I liked that Carrie, she went back to her apartment. I feel like it is her apartment. I feel like she's home there. That's, the apartment we all watched her in. But she's looking for another house. She will buy one. She'll have her own place. I don't know where the series is going after this. I mean, they're making new friends. Things are changing for them. But I'm not sure what the overall main sort of point of the series and of the direction. I guess it's just change. Life is change. I don't know. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Did you like the episode? I can see a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people complaining about race being in this series and saying it's forced and everything. And I'm like, like I said, I think it's really only if you live in a really white, really racist bubble would you not have these experiences and not have diverse people around you, and why wouldn't you want that? So, why wouldn't these characters, have, diverse friends? It's just, I don't get the argument that, the show should stay how it was in the 90s when it was different. But yeah, I'm going to go. Bye.